Here is our next do now. This one's about factorizing. That means to put into brackets. Okay, just about everything on here is factorizing except for the last one, which is changing the subject to the formula. So at the end of this, it should be x equals all the rest of the stuff. Okay, so anyway, with nothing else to say, let's get on with it. You've got 5 minutes. Have a go at everything. Always have a go at everything. Even if you get it wrong, just check it against my answer at the end. So off you go. Let's go. So as I said, we need to put these into brackets. And you're finding factors. You're finding things that divide either of these. Now the way to do it really, start with the numbers and find the biggest number that divides both of those, and then start looking at some letters. So the first thing, look at the numbers. What's the biggest number that divides both of those? Well, if you think about the factors, 6 is the biggest number that divides both. So you put it on the outside of what will be our bracket. Then look at letters. Now this got an X, but this one doesn't, so they don't share anything else. So we're going to open up the bracket. And now I need to make 12x starting with 6. Now what do I need to times it by to get 12? Well, that would be a 2. And then I need to have an x, so I put an x. Right? Now I need to make negative 42 starting with 6. So I've got to times it by, firstly I need to times it by a negative number, so we'll put a minus. And how many 6's in 42? There are 7. Okay. Now what we're doing really is we're taking out these factors and putting it on the outside of a bracket and putting whatever's left on the inside. If I multiplied this out again, I would get 12x minus 42. Okay. You are writing the same expression just in a slightly different form, which is useful sometimes. Okay, this one, factorize it then. So find things that divide these. Let's do with the numbers first. So the highest common factor of both these numbers first, then look at the letters. Right. Okay, 8 and 20. The biggest thing that divides 8 and 20, well, it's not 8 because 8 doesn't divide 20, but 4 does. So that goes on the outside of a bracket. Okay, now I've got a squared here and a here. Remember, this is really a to the power of 1. So they've both got at least, a to the power of 1. So that goes on the outside as well. And there's no other letters, so we open up the bracket. Okay, now I need to make 8a squared starting with 4a. Well, I need to times it by 2 first of all to get 8. Now I need a squared, and I've got an a, so I need another a. Now if I multiplied these two together, I would get 8a squared, which is what I want. Now I need to make 20a, or 20a to the power of 1, I suppose, starting with 4a, and it's positive. So let's put the plus in. How can I make 20 starting with 4? Well, I times it by 5. And I want a to the power of 1. I only need one of them. And look, I've already got it. It's here. It's part of it. So I shut the bracket. Again, if I multiplied those two things out, 4a times 5 would be 20a. Perfect. Right. Okay, this one looks, a bit harder, and there is a bit more to it, but it's the same principle. Look at the number first. What's the biggest number that divides both of these? Well, 10 and 15, that would be 5, divides both of those. Now this one's got x squared, and this one's got x cubed. So you sort of need the smallest of those, because they both need to have it, right? So this one's got x squared and another one. This one's got x squared, right? So they've both got at least x to the power of 2. So we'll put x to the power of 2 on the outside. Then the y. Now really this is y to the power of 1, we just don't normally write it. And this is y squared. So this one's got y times y, this one's just got y, right? So they've both got at least y to the power of 1, haven't they? This one's got like y to the power of 1 and another one. That doesn't matter. We just put that y on the outside. It's always the least of the two, right? Because they have to share everything that goes on the outside. I can't put y squared on the outside because this one's only got y to the power of 1. Then let's make 10x squared y starting with 5x squared y. Well, 5 times 2 makes 10. I need x squared, and I've already got x squared on the outside. I need y to the power of 1, or just y, on the outside, and I've already got that as well. So actually, that's done. Move on to the next bit. I need to make negative 15x cubed y squared. Well, first let's do the numbers, one thing at a time. Negative 15, well, it will need to be a minus, what is it, 3, isn't it? Because 3 times 5 would make the 15. I need x cubed, and I've got x squared. So I just need one more x to get it up to x cubed. Then I need y squared. I've already got y, but I need another one, again, to get it up to y squared. And then shut the bracket. Again, if you multiplied all this out, you would just start back where you were originally. Right, factorise this. We did some of this in the do now last time, so hopefully you remember. You need the factor pairs of this lone number first. It's a quadratic expression. X squared minus something x, plus or minus something else. It's a quadratic expression, which means double brackets. So find those factor pairs of the n number. So 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. But it could be, because this is minus 10, so it might be minus 1 times 10, or minus 2 times 5. They would make minus 10. Or, how about 1 times minus 10? That would make minus 10. Or 2 times minus 5. That would make minus 10. Okay. But which pair adds together to make this negative 3x here, the negative 3? One of these pairs will add together to make that. It's this pair here. 2 take away 5 would be negative 3. So those are the two numbers that go in my bracket. Now you put your letter at the start of each one, and then the 2 is positive, so we have positive 2. Ooh, look at that x, that's terrible. There we go. And then this one's negative 5, so we put negative 5. X plus 2, x minus 5. Factorise this. This is a dots one. Difference of two squares. There's a square number there, x squared. It's clearly squared because look, there's a square sign. 81, I just happen to know, is a square number because it's one of those square numbers that I've memorised, just like you have, yeah? So, it's quadratic, so we are going to need double brackets for difference of two squares. Put your letter at the start of each, and put the square root of whatever this number is after it. Now the square root of 81, God, the tablet's gone a bit funny again, is 9. And you put plus that number, and you put minus that number. Difference of two squares. I said it before, I'll say it again. This will almost certainly come up in an exam at some point. Recognise them. Something squared minus a square number. It's always got to be minus. That's the difference bit, the d. You put x plus the square root of it, x minus the square root of it, yeah? Okay, right, make x the subject. I'm going to rewrite this up here to give me a bit more space. Y equals 4x squared minus 10a. Okay, we're going to shift everything away from x first of all. Now, we always say, deal with the thing touching your letter last, right? Deal with the other stuff first. And I can actually, if I add 10a to that side, my 10a will disappear because 10a take away 10a leaves nothing. But you must do, whatever you do to one side of your equation, you must do to the other. So my left-hand side will be y plus 10a. Now this side, the 10a take away 10a cancelled each other out, turned into 0. So we've now got 4x squared. Okay, now we'll deal with the power later. Let's deal with the number touching x next. And we always deal with that by dividing everything by that. So we'll divide by 4, because I don't want 4 lots of this. I only want 1 lot of it, so we'll split it into 4. But remember, with these rearranging ones, I can't really sort of divide these as such. All I can do is show that I want to divide it. It makes the maths easier, frankly. I'll just put it as a fraction. Yeah? That divided by 4. Done. And lastly, we don't want x squared. We want our final formula to just be x equals everything else. So I need to get rid of the squared. I do the opposite, which is a square root. I'm going to square root both sides. And you're thinking, how do I square root this? Easy. You just write it in a square root. Y plus 10a all over 4. And that's a square root of all of that will equal x. X is now the subject. It's the thing on its own. Okay. Oh, just to make this clear, these are not r's. These are square roots. Okay. Right. Well done. Off to the main part of the lesson then.